She's a product lead and champion for Microsoft Access. I've known her since 2014 when she joined the group, and she's really customer focused. She even went out of her way to visit one of my customers in Chicago, and that really impressed me when we first met. Um, she's driven to improve access with frequent updates, some of which we'll be discussing tonight. One of her many recent accomplishments was to get the Office 365 SMB offering to include access, which is a huge improvement, and it saves a lot of money to small businesses thinking about using access in their subscription. Otherwise, you have to pay more for it to get access included. So that was a huge victory for the access community. And more importantly, it reinforces Access' role as a key player in the data management space worldwide. Prior to Microsoft, Michal spent 10 years in different capacities at Intel's mobile division, mainly focused on SQL-based solutions for microprocessor validation processes. And she has an IDF military background with a bachelor's in science degree in information systems engineering from the Technician Institute of Technology in Israel. She embraces challenges and faces them head on, and that is something that I really admire about her. And I'm extremely proud of her accomplishments and delighted to have her. So welcome, Michal.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here and super excited, although the light here is not very flattering. But I am very excited and I'm happy to be here, and it is a great honor, and I see that we have lots of people on the call, so that's great. It just shows how much people are interested in what we're doing and how much they care, and that's just great.
Good. We're happy to have you. So just a few technical things. Lucy is our online moderator, so if you have any technical issues, please tap in the chat. Plus, we'll be sharing some links with everyone in the audience, so I'll make sure that you grab those links from the chat as well. I'd like to start out, Michal. I keep saying Michal.
I know.
What is a product manager? What does a product manager do at Microsoft?
A lot of things, and the answer is really it depends. In general, I would say that a program manager sets the strategy and the vision for a product, but there are different types of PMs, of program managers. For example, there is, and each different type require a completely different skill set. So for example, you could see PMs that are what we call UX PMs, and they're basically responsible for designing an excellent feature that has high-end customer experience and design aspects. There are also feature PMs, for example. Feature PMs are responsible to design a feature end-to-end. So starting from writing the spec for it, understanding the requirements, and then writing technical specs, working with the engineers, and then also working on this feature all the way through design and implementation, and then even introducing it to customers. There are others. There are technical PMs. There are service PMs. It's really there is a variety of program managers. Mm-hmm. I think PMs work with all sorts of disciplines, and this is what's really important about the PM role. So PM would work in Microsoft, would have a chance to work with engineers, with marketing, with designers, hopefully with customers, and this is something that most of PMs get to do when they design a product.
Great. So you play an integral role in the development of Access going forward, which is why it's so important that you're with us tonight here talking about the future of Access. Speaking of the future of Access, I wanted to ask you, because we get this question as Access MVP a lot, what is the future of Access and VBA?
So I'll separate the two things, and I'll start with talking about Access. When I first joined the team, that was again in 2014, when I first joined the team, I remember learning that there is this rumor around Access going away.
If you had $1.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take you out of this business, Juan. But I heard this rumor, and I learned that there is a perception that Microsoft is not standing behind the product anymore. I even remember, when I just started, I remember typing in one of the search engines. I typed "is Access," and then it automatically completed to "dead," and I was shocked. That was the autocomplete. But this was around 2 or 3 years ago, and I think since then we have been fighting this rumor. We've been fighting this perception on 2 different fronts. One is working on the product and making it stronger and better and reinforcing its core strength. And the second is promoting our work. We are continuously investing in the product. We are shipping new features and fixes almost on a monthly basis, I want to say. And we are very proud of the work that we're doing, so we tell the world about it. We use multiple communication channels just to promote the hard work that we're doing. We also put a lot of...
I've seen that not just from the Access team, but from a lot of teams across Microsoft. I think there's been a strategy shift at the company where Microsoft is cool again. You have new products like Power BI, and you're sharing your roadmaps with people, and there's this constant churn of new features coming out, and so I'm excited to be related with the brand now, and more so with Access than ever before.
I think this is one of the things that really we're hearing a lot from our CEO, from Satya Nadella. He's talking a lot about being customer obsessed. And I think every team in Microsoft is really interpreting this in a different way. And, for us, it's about re-engaging with the community and letting you, as our users, know what we're doing and listening and taking this feedback into consideration. And I think for us, in some of the features that we are working on, and for other teams, this is also about being cool and really trying to give our customers what they're after, what they're looking for.
Great. And so how about VBA?
So VBA, the short answer about VBA is that it's not going anywhere. VBA is here to stay. That's really the short answer. And I understand and I realize how important VBA is to the Access developers community. And it is a part of a larger story, though. VBA plays a very important role in the Office extensibility story in general. And since it does play this important role, it continues to be a strategic product for Office extensibility. I think the team, what I'm hearing from the team that's from the Office extensibility team, which is the wider team, is that they are continuing to support VBA, but looking forward, their APIs are going to be built on top of JavaScript and Office webbing model, so that it will allow developers to write applications at once and then be supported across different platforms. But VBA is not going anywhere, and we continue to support it.
Oh, that's wonderful. In terms of the multi-platform support, when do you see that coming?
Is for VBA you're asking me?
Yeah.
I actually don't have an answer for that.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely follow up if this is something that you are interested in. But again, this is something that is quite outside of my scope.
Okay, no problem. So, what language do you guys use to create new Access features or to work with the product? What is Access written in?
So Access was, when Access was first released back in 1992, it was written in C. Since then, and a lot of the components that we currently have in the code base are based on the original components. in C. But then there was at some point, I'm not sure exactly when, there was this huge effort in the company to modernize the code base in Office. And then most of the code has been recompiled to be C++. So most of the Access code is C++. Some of it is C. New features and new things that we're introducing are C++ mostly.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So we, as MVPs, we know how important it is for you to get feedback. And one of the things that I really love that implemented recently by the team was a year and a half ago has been user voice. Tell me how important user voice is to you guys.
It's extremely important.
And Lucy, can you put the link to user voice there in the chat? Thank you.
User voice is extremely important to us. It has been super active since it was opened about, again, yes, I think it was 18 months ago. We use it a lot we take into consideration the feedback that we see there. However, it is important for me to say one thing about user voice because I know this is something that I might hear back from the audience here. I've heard feedback in the past from people that we are slow to respond to user voice items. That may seem to be true, and I think we could have done a better job in setting the expectations around our user voice site. Just so everyone know and have an idea around this, just in the last 30 days, we had over 2,400 people interacting with our user voice site. That means adding new suggestions or commenting, voting, interacting in general. That's 30 days, 2,400 people.
So it could be a full-time job for you if you're not careful.
Exactly. So I know that there are other teams who take, they have the resources and this is something that they do and they reply to every single item on user voice. This was never our intent. However, we do take things into consideration. And I think the best example is Dbased, right?
Yes.
Dbased at some point was top. I'll be honest, we were surprised to see the Dbased climb to be the top item on user voice.
Just so everybody knows, Dbased was not included in the version, I think it was either 2013 or 2016, right. I can't remember when. And then there was this huge input from user voice. And so it was one of the victories for user voice because you heard everyone on user voice, you decided to bring it back. So that was a huge get for user voice.
Yes, exactly. And I think, so just, double clicking on that Dbased because it is a good example of how we try to work with the community. I remember, so every few weeks I go in and others we go in and we sort and we look at the top, like we sort by top or sometimes by new, or we just look at the items. But then I remember seeing Dbased and I was so surprised and talked about it with team members, and this was not on our radar. This was not something that we had planned or even thought or, to do. I think and then at first we said, okay, we're not going to do it. I mean, it's old history. Why do it? But then what we did was ran it by our MVPs. And I remember the call where our MVP said, you know what, if this is what the community wants, why not give it to them? And I remember hearing some good feedback from the MVPs around this is really what needs to happen for customers, and you need to meet your customers where they're at and not exactly where you want them to be, right? And I think this was a good lesson, both to the product team and also strengthened our relationship with the MVPs and the community. So yes, Dbased is back.
Well, I've been the MVP for 6 years now, and be honest, I would go to the MVP conference, and I would be situated in 3 rooms. I'd be in the middle room, and then the Excel guys would be on the right, and the Word guys would be on the left, and I would hear cheering going and loud noise about new features, and ours wasn't like that until last time. So I'm really happy with this team right now. I think you guys have got it together, so I'm excited about what you're doing with it, and I realize you have some finite resources. And we're not going to go into that, but I know you're doing the best with what you got, so that's important.
It is important. We're doing the best with what we've got. You're right.
Good.
Yes.
So, in terms of outreach and communication, I just found out today that you're going to be at Access DevCon in Vienna.
Yes, so that's also another win, I think, for everyone. I will be traveling with Mike Sullivan, who is an engineer on the team, developer, who's been, I think, in the Access team for around 10 years now. So we're both going to travel to the developers conference in Vienna. I think it's a great opportunity for us to, again, strengthen the Access brand, talk directly to people, to developers and Access users. And the other thing that I can share with everyone is that with the help of our MVPs in Germany and Austria, we were even able to schedule a few customer visits, similar to the one I did with your customers in Chicago, and I feel super excited about this. I feel like this is such a great opportunity for us to meet with our customers.
Good. I look forward to meeting you. I'll be presenting
Yes.
at the conference as well. So, Lucy, you can put a link to the Access DevCon in the comments. It's sold out, but this is the first year we do Access DevCon by Carl, and he was worried. He says, Juan, I'm going to do this. I don't know if it's going to be successful or not. I said, look, I got your back, man. We're going to promote this. Arminstein promoted it, and it's sold out. So I'm really happy about that.
Yes.
So it's great.
Yes.
There's going to be 50 people there from around the world. It's going to promise it to be very interesting for 2 days. Not one, but 2 days. That's good.
Yep.
So what we're going to do now is I know you have some demos to show us. So if you want to go ahead and go get your demo, then after that we'll go into Q&A with the audience.
Sure. Let me get all settled here.
And I'm going to turn off my camera until we get back to the Q&A.
Okay. Okay.
Lucy, can we put also the blog? Oh, yeah, we have a blog there for office.com, Microsoft Access official blog. Sent to Alexander Tufan. Gave us the link there, so that's good.
And I think there are also a few links to important resources in my deck, and I'll be happy to share it with everyone. And I'll pass it to Lucy, and she can probably reach out to everyone with it.
Yes, we'll post it on the AccessUserGroups.org website.
Okay, perfect. I hope everyone can see my screen. And I put together a few slides just to go over some of the things that I'd like to share with everyone, and then also do some demos. So what I plan to do is to talk about some of the things that are new in Access, do a quick demo, and then talk about what's coming next. Hopefully get through another demo alive, and then I can talk a little bit about customer engagement and what is our expectations in terms of keeping this relationship alive, and how the Access community and Access users can reach out to us to provide feedback.
We're having some technical difficulties. Do you mind unsharing your desktop and resharing? I think that will solve it.
I can do that.
It says connectivity issues. All right, Jeffrey, thanks for letting me know. I was having problems seeing it. I wasn't able to see it.
I am sharing now.
Okay, it says loading.
Okay, we'll give it a few seconds.
It says connection is not established for me, but it looks like Jeffrey can see it. And Michael Stafford. Okay, so if you guys can see it, let's go ahead and proceed. I'm sorry. Go ahead and proceed.
Okay. And then I want to leave enough time for questions and answers. So I'll start with what's new in Access 2016. And as I said before, we are shipping almost on a monthly basis. So one of the things that we did quite recently was revamped and updated this article, which is the What's New in Access 2016, which now, as we release every month or almost every month, it's really important for us to maintain and to keep updated. So we were able to update this document, close the gap. It's now, it has all the information and all the features, all the bug fixes that we've shipped in since 2015, I'm guessing. It's really a key article. It's something that I don't have the numbers, but I know it's one of the articles that users land on quite frequently. So it was very important for us to update. So, and the link to the article is right here, and you can look at it later. Yes, we talked about the Dbased file support. This definitely falls under the category. If you asked for it and you got it, we listened. It had 713 votes on user voice. I think the second runner-up at around 300. So just to emphasize how much this was voted on and how much it was requested, we have brought this back, and Dbased support is in 2016 click-to-run version. We are going to port this also to our MSI offering. So for perpetual users, they'll get Dbased soon. I think I want to say next month. I think that's coming next month, but it's coming.
That's something that is fairly new for me, because I know that a lot of these features first start with Office 365 subscription, right?
Yes. So the way Office is working in general, and Access just follows that pattern, is that we are shipping on a monthly basis to the Office 365 subscribers. We want to encourage users, again, not just Access, this is Office in general. We want to encourage users to be Office 365 subscribers. So all new features and bug fixes, they will go first to this offering, to the Office 365 offering. There are some things that fall into the category. Sorry about that. There's some things that we will also ship to the perpetual version of Access, but not everything will go in there. Dbased is something that we feel it's not a new feature per se. It's something that we're bringing back, so we can also release it to perpetual users.
Okay, and so, is there any way we can tell or find out when these features go to the perpetual version? Because if it makes it to the perpetual version, it makes it to the runtime as well, right? Or that's two different things?
No, you're absolutely right. So we have a public roadmap, the Office 365 public roadmap, where we try to keep it updated with everything that we're shipping. This is obviously just for Office 365. There is no, as far as I know, there is no other public roadmap for the perpetual offering. I guess.
Okay.
I want to say that the best source of information for these kind of things is through our MVPs, because we try to keep our MVPs informed. We try to give them a heads up of things that are coming out, so they may have the answer, but if they don't, they know how to reach us.
Okay, good.
The next big thing that I want to talk about is how we included Access in the Office 365 small, medium business SKUs. So there was this situation where Access was offered to high-end SKUs, meaning enterprise SKUs, and to home editions, but it wasn't offered for free for the small and medium businesses. We realized this was, in lack of any other word, and for honesty, this was a mistake. This was a marketing mistake. Access has to be included in both business and business premium, and we've done the work with our marketing team and business planning to include it in it. What that means is that we will have features in the future. We will have features that will only be available to enterprise SKUs, so to the high-end SKUs. And I will talk about this soon. But that's I think a great win. So now you can look at there is no single Office SKU where Access is not part of. And I think that's just
great news. Yeah, I agree. It saves a lot of people, a lot of my small business clients save a lot of money with that option.
The next I'm going to talk about is it's a bucket of a few features. I call them here first-class citizen of the Office family. So one of the things that was important for us to do is to make sure that Access reinstates its position as a first-class Office citizen. It's part of the Office family. We want to make sure it gets the same, it looks the same, it behaves the same on some of the things. So we integrated the What's New panel. This is a panel when if you are an Office 365 subscriber, every time you upgrade your Office version, the first time you open your Access, you'll see this panel with everything that is new. So latest Office 365 updates. And this is something that, again, all the other Office products follow. I think this is a great way to raise awareness and for customers to really know what's going on and what are the new features and kind of help them discover our work and the things that we're shipping. The next thing is the feedback panel, which is an in-app feedback panel. If you switch to File and then Feedback, you'll see an option to provide feedback in the app itself. So there's a smiley and the frown, and we are looking at this information. It's not super easy for us to go through it, but there are some tools that are built around that, and we're monitoring the feedback that we're getting in the product as well. For new training, we've introduced 19 new videos for Access in the Access training page. So these are available. These are for Access 2016. And then the last thing that we did was to improve the Tell Me experience. I don't know how many of you know, but Tell Me is a feature in Office where you can, this is right here, where you can start typing a command that you're looking for and you don't know where it is in the ribbon exactly, and then it will get you results. And you can either activate the command right from the search results, or you can get help on this. So we've integrated Tell Me experience into Access a while ago, but now we've introduced new features, new improvements to this experience. The next thing, and this is a big chunk of work that we did, is around accessibility improvements. Honestly, I just picked a few because the team has done an overall on Access and tried to make it a whole lot more accessible. So we have introduced improvements to forms and reports in high contrast mode. We've improved narrations and other assistive technologies on the controls and the forms and tab controls specifically. And another big one is we've improved the whole F6 loop control. So using F6 and Shift F6 keyboard shortcuts, cycle through every sections in pop-up forms, and that was a big ask. And this is something that we feel takes Access's accessibility to the next level. Next are a few items that also fit under the category of you asked for it. These are things that we saw on user voice and also talking to our MVPs. Also just, reading and kind of getting the sense from the community in general. Property sheet sorting allows you to sort the property sheet. This is something that I know people have been asking for a long time now. ODBC connection retry logic. There was a problem with the ODBC connection that would get dropped, and then Access would just be stuck in a non-working state where you would have to close the app and reopen. So we implemented a retry logic to make this experience a lot better. Some high DPI improvements. And the last one, which is definitely not the least because it was a big chunk of work, is that we have introduced a new data type support. That's the large number, aka big int. And that brings me to a demo.
I love the Tell Me feature, just so you know. I mean, I, for one, can't find a command sometimes with a ribbon, so that was a really welcome feature for me.
Yes, and it is, as you can see now, it is in all the Office apps. I also find it super useful, not just in Access, but I love having it in Access as well, because sometimes the ribbon is just too much to handle. Okay, so I'm going to start with a large number demo. And I think with the large number, the main scenario that we wanted to unlock basically was to link to an external data source where the primary key is big int. And this is a new database, and what I want to do here is just connect. By the way, note the somewhat new UI here. This is not final, but we are going towards this kind of ribbon change as we're going to introduce new data connectors, and I will talk about this. But this is super sleek and nice and consistent with Excel as much as possible.
Oh, nice.
But I'm going to use the ODBC connector, and I'm going to link to this SQL database that I've created already, and I'm going to select these tables. And you'll note that when I try to open, I get this. And the reason being that the primary key for this table is big int. Similar experience for product. For customers, it's not the experience because this is int and not big int. And I'm sure most of the people on the call have experienced similar behavior. So here is what I can do now. With this new feature, what you'd want to do is go to File, Options, and then in the current tab, there is an option, a new option here to support large number. And this support, when I click this, when I enable the support for a large number, this is just for link tables and for importing from external data sources. I'm getting prompted that turning this option will change the database version. This is super important for those of you who are concerned around backward compatibility. But we give you the warning, and then you can either accept or not. When I do, I will need to close my database. I want you to pay attention to something here. So the title here says Access 2007, 2016. That's the file format. But now if I close it and reopen, you'll see that the format has changed in the title right here. Now it's Access 2016. That's a good way for people to know that the database that they're working on supports big int and is not going to be compatible with older versions of Access. So this is just a
very good. Very good. How about the extension? Does it stay ACCDB?
Yes.
And is it supported with the ACCDE as well, and compiled version supported as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Now when I open the same table, I still see deleted. What I should do is open the link table manager and then select my tables and basically just refresh. And after refreshing, ta-da, the data is here. So yes, so this is, and now from now on, every new connection that I'll create, or every new link table that I'll create to a table that has big int, I will not need to refresh. I can just link to it, and then it will open with big int support to it. So that's a big change. The other thing is just when you create a table, now you can see the large number right here. So that's adding basically big int data type to a local table.
Well, we have a few people who are cheering in silence.
That's great.
Comments.
That's great. I'll make sure to look at the transcript later and look at all that.
Good.
So that was my big int demo. If I go back to my presentation, so what's next? I know people are curious and people want to know. What's next is new data connectors. We are looking at a set of new data connectors that will roll out in 2017. OData Feed, Dynamics, CRM, Salesforce, and Amazon Redshift. Thinking back to what I said before about wanting to ship some features that are for enterprise only, the last three here are going to be for enterprise editions of Office only. OData Feed, however, is going to be available for everyone.
What is Amazon Redshift for those people who don't know what that is?
So that's basically one of Amazon have multiple databases offerings. This is one of them. It's just capable of holding enormous sizes of data, but that's basically a database.
Okay. And Dynamics CRM, for those who know, is Microsoft Dynamics customer relationship management software.
Correct.
All right. And when do you think this will happen in 2017? We don't know yet, right?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But I can, and this is, Juan, I saw how you introduced me online, and I saw that you wrote that this is an historical event. So we're making another history here. You're going to be the first ones to ever see the connectors, and I'm going to show it to you guys. Now let's all pray for the demo gods to be on my side, because this is still in development, but it was important for me to kind of try and give you a sense of this. So new data sources, for example, from Salesforce.
So everybody knows you don't need an ODBC driver. This is native support within Access, right?
Correct. So we are going to ship behind the scenes. We are going to ship those ODBC drivers with Access, so you get a native experience that kind of guides you through the connection.
So no more DSN, no more ODBC drivers, and no need to check to see if they have the drivers installed. If they have that version of Access, you know they can connect.
Correct. Let me just get this. Once I entered my credentials to the Salesforce connector, I get access to all the tables that are on my Salesforce solution. And the experience is I'm randomly selecting tables here, hoping that everything will be fine. I was just able to upload, to link to this source, and this is Salesforce. So This is, again, a native experience.
And I can add records and edit records and delete them from here?
Right. So yeah, so this is actually, I'm just to be respectful of the time, I don't want to demo this right now, but I can edit records here that will be saved in Salesforce, and I can do all this kind of data manipulation that will go back and forth.
Yes. So instead of doing custom web integrations with Salesforce, now as Access developers, we can extend our client Salesforce investment to their Office desktop.
Exactly right. Okay. I will move on because I really do want to leave time for questions. The last piece of it is customer engagement. When I talk about customer engagement, is really about, I think about two things. One is how we maintain relationship and connection between the Access customers and the product team. This is one piece of it that is very important for us. And the second is how do we market and promote the Access brand? And this kind of talks back to, Juan, your question from before about what is going on with Access and the rumors and all that. So I think there are, in terms of communication with the product team, there are three main things that we're doing, and we encourage everyone to use three platforms. One is user voice. We talked about that. I cannot extend enough how important it is for you to be active on it, and to let us know what you want, what you think. Again, with the right expectations in place in terms of us responding. The second is our very passionate and awesome Access MVPs.
Caliente.
Yes, our Access MVPs, they save us a lot of times. They are our biggest advocates. They are the experts for everything Access. We have, I believe we have quite a good connection and relations with our MVPs. They let us know when things are not right. They do not hesitate to speak their mind and to pass on their feedback that they hear from their customers and from other developers. I would totally leverage this, the MVPs community as a resource to get informed and to pass information to the product team. The third thing, as I mentioned before, customer visits. This is something that we're trying to do more of. I think it's a great way for us to experience firsthand and to learn firsthand from customers about their pain points. And sometimes these customers that we meet are not the customers that will go on user voice. Sometimes those are the people who, you know, they're just using Access. They have their issues with it. They could be developers who are not, or just beginners. They're not so much engaged with the online community. So that's a good way for us to get connected with them.
Well, just to give everybody an idea, the customer you visited from me is a small customer, small business customer, a very small Access database, but they love the fact you came over and sat down with them to go over the application.
Yeah, I think it was a great experience for me as well. Being here in Redmond, we experience Access from one end of it. We usually talk to, you know, customers who sometimes we talk. It's easier for us to talk to large enterprises and not to smaller businesses. So I think this was the visit with the company in Chicago was truly a good learning experience for me. Reinforcing the Access brand. So we are trying to amplify the Access brand using all sorts of channels. In the past 18 months, we have published 5 blog posts, and they've been the first since, I don't want to even think when was the last one before that. But we are trying to keep the blog alive and to add more content to it. We are updating the Office 365 public roadmap with the things that are in the pipeline and things that are coming after that. And we are also talking again about the customer visits. We are also starting the effort of publishing some customer success stories. This really, again, I can talk about our MVPs for an hour now, but this is also something that came up in the last MVP summit when we heard from several MVPs about how they think we should promote Access and how we should talk about Access as a solution, not just about specific feature or specific enhancement or a bug fix, about how we should be talking about Access as a business problem solver and kind of tell the story end to end. And this is something that we intend on doing, and I hope you'll see it all coming soon.
Great.
And I think I'm done.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for those demos. All right, so we want to give the audience a chance to question. So please, in the comments, if you could leave us comments. One of the comments I saw is Access Web Apps. Do you have any news on that front for us?
Not really. There's not much new things going on with the web apps. We have been really focusing on the desktop and kind of bring it back from the dead, if you will. But we are all focusing on the desktop and on the new data connectors that we have committed to ship quite soon. So this is where we're investing most of our efforts right now.
Okay, thank you so much for that. All right, so please, if you have a question, please post it in the comments here, and we can submit that. We had a highly technical question, Patrick. I know you said a question about record sets. I think that kind of question would be better off in user voice when you kind of like a little little a bug like that, better off in Visual Boy. So we have another one here. Is the tell me part of the ribbon? Create table through XML. I have custom ribbons for my applications. All right, so if you have custom ribbons, Michael Stafford wants to know, is tell me part of the ribbon? Maybe can you disable that if you want to through the ribbon XML?
I think you can. Just recently, I saw a question on one of the UK forums, and I think someone asked and then answered that yes, you can remove the tell me.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I believe so.
Okay. How about the charting engine? I know it got downgraded in 2016, and I know the answer to this, but I want to ask you, where are we with the charting engine going forward?
We don't have any concrete plans at this point. There are a few things that we're looking at. Some of them involve integration with Power BI for reporting, but I'm afraid I don't have any concrete details of plans for charting for now.
So one of the things, just so you know, one of the things that we've been doing with at our firm is embedding Power BI charts through the web element in Access, and that's really helped our clients with their charting capabilities. Power BI has some amazing charting capabilities. Yeah. So that's the new reporting paradigm for us, where we sell our clients on regular reports, and then we say, you can look at 500 lines in a report, or you can look at this Power BI analysis that makes it really highlight deficiencies or issues that jump out at you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have some more additional questions. Lots of questions here coming through. Please send us through. That's great.
To answer maybe Sasha here, who's asking, why doesn't Microsoft brand MS Access as a business solution platform and less like a programming language? I think this kind of ties to what I was trying to say before. I think this is a good suggestion. I feel like we should be talking about Access as a business solution platform, and I think we should be talking about Access as a key player in solving a business problem, and not just programming languages or something like that, or just because I think Access has so many amazing capabilities. It's a one-stop shop for everything. It's the app building, and it's the data entry, and it's the reporting. It's doing all of that for you. And talking about Access in that sense would be valuable for new customers, and for existing customers, and just to promote the brand. So yes, Sasha, I definitely agree with that, and I think the work that we're going to do to publish customer stories, success stories, this is going to be exactly for that. To kind of show, okay, here's a company, here's a small business who's developing Access solutions, and this is why they chose Access. This is why they think Access is the right thing for them. And then maybe also talk from their customer's perspective, telling why did they choose this software, this Access-based software. And this is something that, again, is coming soon, and I really hope we'll get it out sooner than later.
Good. Howard wants to know, is the Access user base growing?
We are not putting all these efforts out because we think it's shrinking. We care about our customers. We care about the existing ones. And I think, it's about making the existing ones happy and helping them not look at other alternatives that are not in the Microsoft product offering, but it's not because they're shrinking. I don't have data about the Access business being shrinked. I don't have that.
Okay, thank you. All right, how do you deal with the IT departments who tend to not like Access apps? Ask Maria Barnes.
Yeah. That's a tough one. Actually, Juan and I discussed this few days ago, that really is a tough one, because Access is being so powerful and empowering users who are not necessarily professional developers to create solutions and then that solve their business problems and then continue to add up on that. And then, just these solutions become mission critical at some point. So we know that's a big problem with IT, and we know that IT, for that reason, especially when the developer leaves, and then the burden of maintaining and supporting the mission critical app that is not necessarily following best design practices, etc. Now this burden is on IT. We know this is an issue. We have been thinking about multiple ways of solving. Two things that kind of came to mind is one, and this I think has been also discussed in several forums and LinkedIn discussions and all that, is about educating IT on how to look at access from a different perspective, not look at it as security, as a prone to security issues, and just work with IT on better understanding the role that access can play for their organization. The other thing that we were thinking about is more monitoring tools. So think about a tool like an inventory tool that you can look at, that an IT admin can identify those mission critical apps maybe just before they become mission critical, and just gives more visibility to the IT admin of what's going on in their organization in terms of access databases.
Great. Yeah, one of the things that happens is when IT rolls out Office, everybody gets access. So there's an implicit authorization from IT that it's okay to use Access because they gave access to the worker, right? And so it's important that IT organizations learn to deal with access in an effective way. And I think the work that the MVPs are doing goes a long way to doing that. A lot of MVP blogs on access and how to properly manage their projects. All right, so next question here is, I'd like to know a question. Access Web Apps, like you said before, we don't have any new news on that. And I would love to see Maria Barnes again. I would like to see a good article on EduKT and how to view from a different perspective. That's duly noted, Maria. I will pass it along to Michal and her team. There's something to consider for the blog.
Yep, definitely.
Michael, is the ACDB format going to be the same in future versions of Access Office 2019? Well, the format for 2016, as you just showed us in the demo, does change if you do big integration. So I would say the format is going to change. As new features, there's possibility it can change further, right? As you add more features.
So we don't have any plans on changing ActDB to a different file extension. The format does change when you are using Begin support, when you enable the support for Begin. So yes.
Okay. Yeah, we still see a lot of deployments out there, as Michael states, 2010, 2013, and but for the most part, people are migrating en masse to 2016, and that's because of the economic model makes sense. It used to be when you needed an Office license for 10 desktops, you had to go out and spend $300 to $500 per desktop. Now you can get that for a few dollars every month for every desktop. So to me, it makes more sense to go to a subscription model, and that's why I think you're seeing a lot of adoption in 2016 out there.
I think one of the great things about subscription is that really you get value for your money on a monthly basis, right? You get new updates, you get fixes, you get all of these things, and you don't have to wait a year, 2 years, 3 years until you get it. And this is a huge change, and I think it is definitely a model that people should be considering to upgrade to.
All right, so we just have time for a few more questions here. Luke, you mentioned something about Wi-Fi networks. Yeah, I did have a deployment recently in the warehouse in Wisconsin where all the forklift drivers were using a Surface tablet to do transactions and access in the warehouse. And one of the things we noted that if the tablet went into sleep mode, when it came back, it would lose connection over Wi-Fi to the SQL Server. So we disabled all tablets going into sleep mode, something to consider. So Wi-Fi does work well. We do have clients using Wi-Fi. Of course, it all depends on the quality of the Wi-Fi network. And that warehouse, they have plenty of access points everywhere, and they test and make sure everything is working solid. So other than that issue, we didn't have any other experience with Wi-Fi. That's a good question, though. Michael has another question. I write Access ADO SQL Server solutions. I want to make sure that this type of solutions will continue to work in X 2016. I'm worried about Microsoft's depreciating functionality in ADO. Well, ADO is being deprecated, right, Michael and Michal?
Honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, ADO is, Ben, if you can provide us a link to that article, ADO is being deprecated. Okay. Microsoft has released news on that. So just so you know, the official word is it's been deprecated, but, as so many things that happen at Microsoft, once it's deprecated, it still hangs on for many more years to go. And so we're still developing with ADO here at IT Impact, but DAO is the future, right, going forward. If you really worry about compatibility after a certain amount of time, certain amount of years, you'll need to switch to a DAO. In terms of data and Microsoft Access and SQL Server, I think that's a terrific combination. If you haven't played with SQL Server Express, I think one of the best things that ever happened to Access. So please consider that in development. All right, we just have time for just one more question here. And let's see, they were already user voice. Yeah, ADP is not coming back.
No.
That's unfortunately, it's not coming back. All right. Lynn, I know you've asked a question. I don't want to seem like I ignore you. Okay, Access Web Apps. What we're trying to say here is that we don't have news for you at this point. Should you continue developing them, then would not. That's a personal choice on your part. Please keep in mind that I haven't seen any new updates on web apps recently. I have seen a lot of development with Power Apps and other aspects of Access, but not with Access Web Apps. And so whether or not to continue developing web apps, that's a personal preference on your part. But keep in mind that we haven't seen any new news in that section. All right, so Michael again, Michal, oh my gosh, Michal, I am beyond grateful that you joined us tonight. We loved having you, and please share your slide deck with us. We'll have it posted on the AccessUserGroups.org website. And we are thrilled. We're going to make this a yearly event. I think this would be nice, right? Once a year you come and join us. What do you think?
You know what? I say yes. It has been an honor, and I enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Thank you for attending this meeting.
Wonderful. And everyone, just a reminder, we do have our next meeting coming up in April, second week of April. So every second Tuesday of the month, please register at AccessUserGroups.org. And my group is Access with SQL Server. We have another meeting coming up with Maria Barnes, as well as Access Latino, and Access España in Spanish. So if you're Spanish speaking, please join us there. And thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening. So long, folks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.